And as usual, people that know nothing about what the fuck they're talking about are holding things such as anarcho-capitalism to scrutiny. So without further ado, let's begin.
So according to Conor, okay, well, let's read this first. According to Conor, libertarianism is silly. Well, anarcho-capitalism, libertarianism. But anyways, first he starts off by saying, because I'm a First and Second Amendment absolutist, I'll never be accepted as progressive enough liberal. Yes, because I believe in a state, I'll forever be rejected by libertarians. Well, there's libertarianism anyways, so let's see if he understands it. Well, definition-wise at least. It is the belief that free people are best left to themselves, and that the government, as it exists, should be minimal, efficient, and extremely limited. That's if you're talking about anarchists. Libertarian culture is overrun by anarcho-capitalists, men and women who believe the state should not exist at all. Okay, well, he's got that right too.
Okay, anarchists think there should be a minimal state, and anarchists think there should be no state. I'm an anarchist, so no state. Though I did once think there should be a minimal state. But hey, I'm an anarchist now.
You got your little meme going on here for anarchy. I can't tell if it's pro-anarchy or anti-anarchy. I mean, there are anarchy memes that are pro-anarchy, and there are anarchy memes that are anti-anarchy, like, they mock anarchists, so I'm not so sure about this. But anyways, he says the philosophy is sound. It is. But the practical application, like all things, is a lot messier. No. To an anarcho-capitalist, Ancap for short, yeah. Every person is his own sovereign, and any person appointed over another is a violation of that sovereignty, and people should choose how to live and die of their own free will. Well, duh. I mean, what's wrong with that? The rule holding this all together is the non-aggression principle. Damn right. This is the stated rule that no one should transgress against another, and force is only justified in case of self-defense. Okay, yeah. And they got legalized recreational nukes going on here.
Okay, so for the most part, he's just passing with flying colors with the definitions. Okay, well, he's passing with flying colors with the definitions, but he starts to get things wrong about it, and it's about to get a whole lot worse.
Cue the jokes about recreational nuclear weapons and aircraft carriers, to which most ANCAPs laugh and say, why not? And point to abuses of our governments who do possess such weapons. Well, that's legit, considering that nuclear deterrence is a bunch of bullshit that doesn't really keep the world safer. I mean, it's just adding instability to instability. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. People say, oh, these nukes suck, they should never been made, they're the most destructive weapons known to man, yet they go and they have the government build a whole fuck ton of them, and go, oh, this is to keep us safe, this is to keep us safe from the enemy who did the same fucking thing, and now we can all kill each other, but as long as we really pressure each other not to kill each other, we won't have mutually assured destruction, and we won't kill each other. I mean, that's bullshit. I say, instead of fighting instability with instability, you get rid of government, and you have the free market truly stabilize societies around the world, instead of just a bunch of fucking bombs. I mean, that's so stupid. Oh, and nuclear deterrence is just one reflection of the fact that government can only solve problems with violence. I mean, with the free market, you have goods and services, jobs, money, so nobody has to steal and everyone can get what they want, so it's a lot less likely that they'll kill each other for what they want and need, since, well, they can get it on their own. And then bitch-ass government comes in and says, oh, well, we have a bunch of bombs. Let's use a bunch of bombs. And so they used a bunch of bombs, and it's really stupid to have tons and tons of nukes and not really be safe, because you have tons and tons of nukes, and if someone's really crazy enough, they can attack you despite nuclear deterrence. So what the fuck, society? Anyways, moving on. He says this argument is compelling in a world in which all men and women have the same faculties, are rational actors, capable of adhering to a personal moral code, and who only band together in cases of extreme danger. This is not the world we live in. True, I'll agree with that. Anarcho-capitalism falls apart the second it is pulled off the drawing board, because men and women are massively unequal in their faculties. Faculties are often irrational and are very often tribal. First counterpoint is that all men and women are unequal. Well, true. Uncaps are usually above average intelligence, hard workers, and capable of personal success through a variety of factors. I wouldn't quite say that. What I'd say is anyone can be an Ancap as long as they're disillusioned from the state and try to associate with it as little as possible and not associate with it at all as possible. Like basically they aim to not associate with the state at all. They're often able-bodied of sound-minded entrepreneur, and not necessarily. If everyone was like that, then no problem. But our world has schizophrenics. We have men and women with bipolar disorder. We have people with uncontrollable diabetes, alcoholism, and substance abuse issues. We have people with debilitating childhood trauma and a variety of other psychological issues, both genetic and environmental. These people will not survive in anarcho-capitalist society. Okay, he really goes south on this one. He really doesn't get that these people who he's so concerned about, that I'm concerned about too, that are so weak and vulnerable, are being crapped on in this statist society. These people are the first to be crapped on, and they're the most to be crapped on in a statist society. Just look at how bad the VA system is for veterans. How about this? Okay, you see this? Over 2 million people with serious mental illness are booked in jail. They're put in jail. They aren't put in treatment. They aren't really helped. They're just put in jail as if they're common criminals. Yeah, that's definitely the government helping the vulnerable. Save this. Substance abuse issues. Overdose and unregulation. Okay, let's click this. Okay. Bank care, natural facilities, prescribing. So basically too many restrictions on this shit. People just go to the black market since they can't get the medicine they need, and they get crappy opioids, and they die or get hurt very badly, get very sick. So, yeah, there you have it. Government taking care of the vulnerable, and like it says, left behind, as if in an Ancap society you leave people behind. Okay, let me set the record straight. Ancaps are not about leaving people behind. Okay? Sorry, my fucking throat mucus isn't coming out. Ancaps are about helping people voluntarily and out of your own paycheck rather than out of other people's tax dollars. I mean, welfare is theft, and not only is it theft, it's theft that doesn't even help. Welfare just creates dependency and weakness and doesn't really give you any skills to get back into the workforce or help to get back into the workforce. And the government likes welfare because as long as it keeps the system running, it keeps getting its tax dollars and thus keeps getting paid. So it needs people to be on welfare and people to keep supporting welfare. Not just financially, but supportively, in their minds. He says there's two Ancap responses to this. Good. Let the dead wood burn. Social programs just prolong the suffering and dependence of useless people. They do prolong the suffering and dependence of people. I wouldn't call them useless, but they do indeed do this. And we're not about letting the dead wood burn. As I said, libertarians want to help people, and you can do that at plenty. People have done that at plenty with private charities, businesses, private individuals, all sorts of stuff. It isn't about, who cares? That's not it at all. Yet this guy acts like that's what we say. If it was important enough to society, then free people would fund it voluntarily. Well, people are willing to give to the poor in private charity and donations and philanthropy, kind of like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. They are willing to give voluntarily in this society, even with the government, even regardless of welfare. And they could do that even better in an Ancap society because government wouldn't get in the way. It wouldn't create, it wouldn't take away all these tax dollars that people could otherwise use to give to the poor. Okay, here's an example of the poor being helped. West Welfare More Charity. Okay, in 1985, a New York businessman named George McDonald, he was sad about the homeless. He heard about a woman who froze to death on the streets because she got kicked out of Grand Central Station. He initially was given free meals to the homeless. That's pretty nice. And soon he found out they're still poor, they're still hungry, they're not getting off the streets. So then, therefore he rethought his approach and created the Ready, Willing, and Able program, officially the Dole Fund, which distributed handouts in favor of paid work and personal responsibility, which is the way it's supposed to be. Today's McDonald's program assists some 700 people at any one time, with 4 centers in New York City and 1 in Philadelphia. The program focuses on the homeless and newly released convicts, providing food and shelter, but only in exchange for work. That's the key thing. In exchange for work. You work for this. You don't just get it. Welfare, you just get it. Okay, it says participants must work at least 30 hours per week for one of the program's profit generation business, ranging from street cleaning to pest control to culinary arts. That sounds pretty nice. Workers are paid slightly more than the minimum wage, which shouldn't even exist. We shouldn't even have a minimum wage law, because that doesn't really help. Eliminates jobs and employees and hours and all that. That's another discussion. But he said the visiting rate for ex-convicts in the program was 60% lower than the control group with the same characteristics after 1 year. Donald's efforts were successful from far from unique and was sitting around private charities and basic sector, helping the poor and disadvantaged at large without government involvement. It's not a new phenomenon. For example, during the first part of the 20th century, when African Americans were generally excluded from government social welfare programs, black lodges such as the Prince Masons and other institutions established a wide-ranging, highly successful charitable network. That sounds pretty nice, and considering the government's a racist-ass piece of shit back then, and even to some degree today, that's really nice. Black lodges provide medical care, hiring physicians, private services to their members and families, known as the lodge practice medicine, which focuses that Africans more likely to have some form of health insurance than whites during the earlier 20th century. Fortunately, such private charitable networks were simultaneously squeezed by racism on the one side and growing welfare state on the other. Today they have largely faded away. See, welfare is causing these charities to, go away with the regulation and shit. Advocates say, oh, we don't have welfare, they're all gonna die. Reality is that Americans are amazingly generous people and more willing to step up and help those who cannot help themselves. Since the war on poverty began in In 1965, private charitable earnings totaled more than $10.2 trillion. 2014 dollars, roughly 29% or $3 trillion. This went to human services and public society benefits. It doesn't count the hundreds of billions of hours that Americans spend voluntarily to help others. Last year, 64.5 million Americans gave 7.9 billion hours of their time in effort and volunteer work. Charitable giving amounts to far less, of course, than the 19 trillion that the federal, state, and local governments have spent fighting poverty since 1965. The evidence suggests charitable giving would have much higher in absolute welfare state. Our studies, as far back as the 1870s, shown that private giving increases as government programs decrease, and conversely decreases as government programs grow more generously, and overall money spent both public and private are relatively constant. More importantly, private charities are more likely to give poor people the tools they need to get out of poverty. Like I was just saying, recent studies suggest that while poverty did help reduce the deprivations of material poverty, especially in its early years. However, the welfare has spawned long since it's reached when diminishing returns. In recent years, we have spent more and more programs while realizing few, if any, additional gains. Private charitable efforts, on the other hand, address the real underlying problems that leave people in poverty. They are able to demand accountability and responsibility. They provide a hand up, not a hand out. And as Ready, Willing, and Able demonstrates, they stress the primacy of work as a route out of poverty. Failures to war poverty should serve as an object lesson for policymakers today. If poverty and inequality persist, it's not because we have failed to redistribute enough wealth. Rather, it's because the welfare system fails to provide either the tools or the incentives to help poor people become self-sufficient. Perhaps what we need is a little less welfare and a little more charity. That, I couldn't say it better myself. Yeah, going back to Conor over here, Conor says that, we leave people behind. Well, this article proves otherwise, Conor. And he says, answer to number 1 is, I and many others do not want to live in a society where we allow the broken people of our world to suffer and die. Well, I just showed you that that's the case, and that we shouldn't have government. Answer number response 2 is, free people wouldn't fund it, coerced people already don't. Well, that's bullshit, because once again, I just showed that people are willing and able to fund it voluntarily, and that coerced people do fund it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be coercion. It'd be like a rebellion or revolt against welfare, against taxes, against that bullshit. So if you're coerced, they already paid for it. Coerced means you got someone to do it even if they didn't want to do it. The conflict of rationality, my heart versus my brain, my feelings versus my facts. Okay, that's bullshit, okay? People, the free market can combine too, okay? It's not a struggle. If anything splits them, it's government. So, this guy, he really doesn't know what he's talking about. His answer is then playing to a second counterpoint of human beings not being rational, or at least not being fully rational. It spends a lot of time wondering, thinking, criticizing the world, in fact, irrationality. For a long time, I worshiped my own intellect, believing I could find answers on my problems, or just worked hard enough. It is a vain and futile effort. I am a mortal creature, limited in my abilities, born of distinct reality, infinitely more complex and incomprehensible than myself. I get that existence itself is very rational, yet rationalities are one of our only tools to surface chaos. Might agree to that. But we can always justify our actions to ourselves. I was a jerk in high school because I thought it would attract girls and friends at work, in spite of other reasons that it shouldn't have. I joined the military, started complex, got PTSD, could have got killed. I joined a profession where people cursed my existence, those who deal with angry and saying genuinely 50 minutes. I do anything else make more money, but I have my justification, but they don't stand for in the same way members of anarcho-capitalist society could justify selfishness in the face of immense human suffering. We're not justifying selfishness, okay? If you don't want to help someone in need, if you just want to let a person die on the street or be attacked by someone, then, or not help anyone remotely in your life, unless you want something directly in return or even indirectly, you shouldn't be forced to help, you know? That's your right. I say you're a pretty shitty person, but we're not gonna point guns at people and make them help others, okay? People have a right to be selfish to the degree they don't harm others. Well, I mean, I guess in the sense it's neglect, but they shouldn't be obligated by law to help others. It shouldn't be about gun barrels. It should be about your heart. And if you don't have a heart, then you know, natural consequences will come to you, or at least be more likely to come to you. Like if you don't help others, and then you need help, then people aren't likely to help you because you weren't there to help them. You know, you could have been there to help them, but you chose not to. So you don't really need government to force others to help others if natural consequences can do that alone. And even if they don't, you know, you got ostracization and stuff to discourage people from being so, you know, selfish dicks and stuff like that. So you shouldn't have gun barrels point at people to make them help others. That's not even real altruism. It's done by force, for crying out loud. Real altruism is helping out of your own autonomy, out of your own agency, out of your own, you know, mobility. You do it out of the good of your own heart. You do it voluntarily. You didn't have to do it, but you did it because, hey, you felt it was the right fucking thing to do. So you did it. That's real altruism. If you're only doing it because if you don't, you'll get shot, that's not selfless. You're just trying to not die at the hands of your tyrant. That's not really a genuine helping of a person. It's like, you know, it's basically, I did it so I wouldn't die. It's, you know, there's nothing selfless about that. Understandable, yes, but altruistic, no. Okay, so moving on. If those people make different choices, they wouldn't be suffering. Why is it my problem? The problem is to be just but not mine. Money is not my pursuit to benefit others in society I already do plenty for the world. There wouldn't be rational. Constantly needed human suffering. There's a difference. I don't quite agree. Okay, so anyways, finally, human beings are triable. Ancaps want to live in a Jeffersonian society where independent men and women are able to access goods and services unhindered. Well, yeah, we don't want the government to get in the way of the market. And in a free market, people are able to access goods and services unhindered. So I would think so. I wouldn't exactly call it Jeffersonian other than that's what the term means. I wouldn't call it a Jeffersonian in terms of legitimacy. Anyways, these free people are able to negotiate their existence on even footing with their peers. This is a great ideal, but the truth is there are men and women who are not as high-minded. Okay, true, but in Ancap society, good people are rewarded and bad people are punished regardless. Non-aggression principles against human nature. Well, it's not. Okay, here's the thing about the non-aggression principle. It's a stipulation. It's not exactly, you know, an element of human nature. Though I would say most people follow it most of the time to the most of the highest degree. It's more of a demand or, you know, stipulation. It's a principle. You know, it basically states that you can't harm others. You can't be an asshole. You can't be aggressive. You need to leave others the hell alone. You can only harm others if they harm you. Okay? You can only, you know, you can only throw someone in jail for being a murderer, you know, rather than throw them in jail because they smoked a plant. Okay? You need to have it in, you know, you need to have it so someone did something bad to someone else to have grounds to punish them, even killing them if necessary. Or, you have self-defense and non-aggression principle. You can definitely kill in self-defense, you know, attack, even kill in self-defense, that kind of thing. As for justice, I would think in some Ancap societies, you could have the death penalty. I mean, I would think in an Ancap society, you could have the death penalty. I mean, all Ancap societies could theoretically have the death penalty, but I believe only some would have it because only some people would only some people, the ones running them, would disagree with it, so they wouldn't have it in that Ancap society. But that's another subject. It, you know, sorry, I'm kind of stumbling. It's about it. Damn it. You know, it's not really an absolute or a guarantee. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. The non-aggression principle isn't a guarantee. I mean, actually, I guess it kind of is an absolute, because, you know, you absolutely shouldn't be a dick, be aggressive, you know, be someone really unpleasant, be punished for raising a backhand, you know, not called out for, blah, blah. It's not, but anyways, it's not an absolute. Just because you shouldn't be a dick doesn't mean you won't be a dick. There are people that are dicks. Regardless of the golden rule, or the platinum rule, or the silver rule. You know, I've been bullied in school before, high school, middle school, elementary school. It sucked. I even got bullied in summer camp. It wasn't fair, it wasn't nice, it wasn't right. When I stood up for myself, sometimes I didn't stand up for myself because I was too scared. Sometimes I did stand up for myself, but I wasn't very effective, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there are people that will be dicks. There will be murderers, bullies, rapists, robbers, kidnappers, you know, trespassers, burglars, you know, etc. But the non-aggression principle at least acknowledges these actions are wrong, so that people can know who the real bad guys are and who the real good guys are, or at least the innocent. You know, so we can decide who we should attack and how to attack them. Yeah, non-aggression principle basically allows you to figure out who to attack and how to attack them. Like, you know, it's like people that, you know, that do drugs and, you know, prostitution, underage prostitution, and, you know, voluntary prostitution, you know, whatever, and, you know, voluntary gun ownership, you know, rainwater collecting, having an alternative sexual orientation, being straight, you know, those people shouldn't be attacked, okay? I don't care if you do weed, I don't care if you do coke, I don't care if you do meth, you shouldn't be attacked. But what I do care about is if you rape, murder, bully, steal, you know, abuse, that I do care about. That I think people should be locked up for at the very least. At the most, killed in self-defense. So far I disagree with the death penalty. But if I did agree with the death penalty, I'd definitely say that people of that sort of robber, killer, rapist variety would definitely be eligible for it. If all those crimes they did were severe enough. But anyways, that's a bit of a tangent. Power hates a void. I have met men who would band together and seize what they wished. The non-aggression principle is a great concept for rational, responsible, kind people, but they're irrational, selfish, and cruel people the world over. Of course, they're dicks. An organized federation of free men bickering about equipment, organization, hierarchy, and funding would be no match for drill, organized, militaristic, imperial, feudal band of warriors. Okay, well here's the thing. I just explained how, yes, despite the non-aggression principle being righteous, being just, people would still be dicks and violent. But what else there is to acknowledge is that these assholes, you know, these assholes he mentions, he's even met in real life, but be dealt with quickly and, you know, adequately in an Ancap society. You know, like, you wouldn't have to worry about killing an intruder in your home, especially a violent one, in an Ancap society. In places such as the UK, however, and I'd say in the US to a degree, you do have to worry about that. In the UK, you don't have the right to self-defense in your home, out of your home, whatever. It's not an inherent right. Self-preservation, self-defense isn't regarded as an inherent right in the UK, so you can get in trouble for doing that, for defending yourself, for killing someone in self-defense, or even attacking them back. I mean, remember, self-defense is about attacking someone to stop them from attacking you. Well, In the UK, you're pissed out of luck because you can't quite do that without getting in trouble with the law. You know, it's already bad enough you got in trouble with with the fucking asshole that tried to rape you or kill you or whatever, mug you. No, you gotta get in trouble with the fucking government, for having to deal with that fucking asshole. It sucks, but another subject. An unorganized confederation of free men. Okay, well, who says they'll be unorganized? Who says you can't have a private police force or security or military? Those are organized. Who says you can't even have a private militia that's all organized and smart and have a good head on their shoulders and good equipment? And who says they'll just be bigger? I mean, not everyone can do things right, but there are people who can do things right, so they'll do things right. I mean, what's up with this argument? The barbarian in your soul. Oh my God. I've met men who fought for his country, fought for libertarian principles and spouses. These men would be just as happy in a band of like-minded warriors pillaging at disorganized countryside. Okay, that seems... Okay, if you're fighting for this country, the purely self-defense stance, I can understand this to a degree, but it seems like most soldiers fight for the military-industrial complex, so I can't quite agree with this as a whole. Okay, if these men fought for your country, why would they be just as happy as a bunch of assholes? Happy being as a bunch of assholes. I don't get it. They're the good guys, but they would be the bad guys? Okay, and so I'm stuck in a political bind. Do I vote for the Republican Party, a corporatist, globalist, imperialistic, militarist, mutant of its original ideals? Well, you don't have to vote at all, to tell you the truth. Voting is tyranny by the majority, where you have a democracy or constitutional republic. It's man against man. It's like this party goes against these people who vote for this guy, go against these people who vote against this guy. Well, I mean, these people who vote for this guy go against these other people who vote for this other guy. And one of the guys wins, and that not only do the people who voted for him have to listen, but the people who didn't vote for him or even didn't vote at all have to listen to him. If he makes a law, everyone must follow. It's not true consent. Consent is everyone involved agrees. Non-consent is at least one person disagrees. Okay, a bit of a tangent, but you get the idea. Voting sucks. Do I vote for libertarians, a beautiful and principled party overrun by a bunch of obnoxious idealists who have no sense of incrementalism and pragmatism? Okay, I used to vote for the Libertarian Party. I used to vote for them, but since I became an Ancap, I don't vote anymore. In fact, I won't. My last election was, the last thing I voted for was, I think, the 2016 election, but, I'm over that. I'm over that kind of thing. I'm never voting again, since it's just a scam. And nobody can guilt trip me into voting by saying, if you don't vote, you can't complain. Or, you put them in power. It's like, no, I didn't put them in power. They put them in power. Okay? It's not how it works. Passive action is an active action. You can't blame me for doing something actively if I'm being passive. That makes no sense. And as for complain, hell yeah, I can complain. If assholes vote other assholes in power, and end up getting everyone oppressed, then yeah, I'm gonna complain. If I had nothing to do with putting that asshole in power, and I get oppressed by him, I'm definitely going to complain, and it's my right. I didn't put that asshole in power after all, and I'm being hurt by him. I don't know, but, oh yeah, and that's, okay, before I go ahead a bit more, so I'm not voting for even the Libertarian Party, because that's still voting, even if the Libertarian parties are for minimal violence and coercion, they still are for violence and coercion, it's still a government, it's still force, there isn't a great part of everyone. It wouldn't be fair to the people who didn't vote Libertarian or didn't vote at all, despite being a quote-unquote right party, just as it wouldn't be fair to non-Republicans for the Republicans winning, or non-Democrats for the Democrats winning, or independents or whoever voted for them. It wouldn't be fair to them because they didn't vote, and yet they still have to be ruled over by that guy. I don't know, but I do know that anarcho-capitalists are, from a rational perspective, a silly bunch. Yeah, no, you see, anarcho-capitalists, they're not of the Libertarian Party. In terms of libertarianism, anarchists don't belong to a party. They belong to libertarianism in terms of no government, no unjust violence. But they aren't of the Libertarian Party, because that is minarchist and has a party and has government. I mean, the Libertarian philosophy and the Libertarian Party are two different things. Libertarian philosophy is basically no government or minimal government if it falls under that umbrella too. Whereas Libertarian Party is a full-fledged party that supposedly follows libertarianism, but I'd say in terms of true legitimacy, true purest, in its purest form of libertarianism, it doesn't. By its very existence, it's a party. And Ancaps don't have a party. They have a political philosophy, and they have members of that political philosophy, but that's not a party. I mean, you can't vote for the Ancap party because that's government, and Ancaps aren't even for government, so... yeah. Okay, so this guy... I sense he means well. He's not the typical, you Ancaps or even Mincaps are a bunch of racist, homophobic, sexist, moron jerks. The cry bullies. He's not a cry bully status, but he's still a status nonetheless. He's naive. Him being a status is a reflection of that. He's naive. He's ignorant. He's a bit stupid with his arguments. He does not understand anarcho-capitalism at all, except for the very basics of we want to be left alone. We want to be left alone. Okay, not this part, since that's minarchy. Okay, this is true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, that's how it is. Okay, and then we go back all the way back to the end to Ancap Nationality. You have Bill from King of the Hill, just inarticulately. You have Bill from King of the Hill in that funny pose in front of the Ancap flag. Ha ha ha! It's a meme that disproves this thing I'm arguing against. No, it doesn't. I mean, it's kind of funny. I do have to admit, Bill in front of an Ancap flag is kind of funny, but it's a straw man. It doesn't disprove the philosophy of anarcho-capitalism. So, yeah, that's it. That's what I have to say. Conor down here. Oh, he's a cop. I didn't know he's a cop. Marine veteran. Okay, pretty much already got that. Okay, well, gun nut. Okay, some of those are nice, but he just doesn't get it. He doesn't get that you don't need government to solve problems. Government doesn't solve problems, and that what you do need to solve problems is a voluntary society to help the poor, to fight crime, to fight criminals, even killing them if necessary, even killing them out of justice, and to have wealth and prosperity. He doesn't get that you need a free society to do that. He thinks you need some sort of violence, some sort of coercion, some sort of force in order to get people to behave, to be functional, to work. And that has been proven time and time again to be wrong. That you don't get a free, prosperous, safe society out of government. That you get violence, you get poverty, you get killing, murder, rape, even by the government itself. Like the rape of Nanking back in World War II by the Japanese against the Chinese, that kind of thing. Well, soldiers, there might be some politicians that related to it. Let's search it up even. Politicians convicted of rape. Okay, let's see if politicians ever raped. Question. Okay, in June 2011, rules to sexual assault. Okay, it's... Oh wow, look! It got... Oh shit, okay. Oh look, sexual harassment and abuse. It's been going up steadily. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's not... That's not good at all, people. Oh my god. That's not cool. Sexual harassment. Wait, Representative Patrick McNeil. Oh my god. So, okay. So yeah, these politicians definitely have done sexual crimes. Going back to Conor, thinks that if you didn't have any of this government, you'd be screwed. But on the contrary, the evidence shows otherwise. So I guess all I can say to him is I hope he will be disillusioned with government and then be woke with anarcho-capitalism. Because right now, you're under the guise that the state works and that without it, everything just falls apart, which would not and does not happen. So, yeah, this is an Ancap Cat, and this is all I have to say. Bye.